Up on stage, Harsho and Jai. Please give it up, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to take you through the making of the Hyderabad graphic novel. There you go.
Thank you so much. I'm Jay. Yeah, I'm Jay. This is, of course, Harsho, you've already met. So basically, Harsho is the lead artist of something called the Hyderabad graphic novel, and I'm the writer and co-creator. So we've been working on this project for several years now, and it's still very much a work in progress. However, we do have a special Comic-Con edition of it out there. There's a stall at B2, so please drop by and check our work. So yeah, I'm going to just briefly go over how this project came about and what kind of went into it. Yeah, next. Yeah, so basically this project began as a photography initiative in the old city, and we were trying to capture livelihoods, people who were right at the so-called base of the pyramid. And an NGO called Yugantha supported us, and that's how it began all those years ago. Next. So yeah, so we were taking photographs next of people who had livelihoods right there, who were selling and buying things on the street at a very low denomination and so on. Yeah, next. So anyway, so after this, we realized that it became a documentary project in which we were trying to capture oral histories of people who had been who had been around Hyderabad in the 1940s, 50s, 30s, maybe sometimes. But the problem we had was that most of these people, when we asked them, "Can you take us to that location so that we can we can film it?" Those locations were gone. They were sort of destroyed or demolished over the course of many years. So we realized that the only way of capturing this city, this vanished city, is through the graphic medium. Documentaries can't do it, films can't do it. It has to be something else. So that's how it began. Now, one of the things we decided, let's try to do this. So one of the problems we had was like, what is the whole idea? What is the theme? You know, what are we trying to do here? So we had some rules for ourselves. One of the rules was that Hyderabad, if you say Hyderabad, anybody they'll say Charminar, Biryani, Pearls, Bangles, Lad Bazaar, whatever. So none of those are going to be there in this, and they're not there in fact. Because we wanted to kind of look beyond the myths, beyond the stereotypes, and try to capture something else. The other issue is that, for example, we were trying to see whether the heroes could be sort of a kind of darker skinned, and the villains could be sort of a fair skinned. Basically, try to change the rules of the game. And most importantly, one of the things we wanted to do was we need to find a visual sensibility. So Harsho is going to explain a little bit more, but I'll just continue. Yeah, just go on. Next. So of course, I mean, the people who've really made this is Amar Chitra Kadha and so on. So they have a very extremely very distinctive style. You open an Amar Chitra Kadha, you know exactly what you're reading. And of course, you have the American superhero style. Yeah, next. One sec. Excuse me. Hang on. The images are not starting. Yeah. Anyway, this I'm sure this presentation. I mean, we give these kind of presentations to colleges and so on. But you're all obviously very much comic book fans. So I don't have to explain to you what is the American superhero style. So we can actually just go over that. And so we needed to find a distinct visual sensibility. You had Amar Chitra Kadha, you had the American superheroes and so on, and they had a very distinct look. So is there a way in which we too can find something? So yeah, so this is the standard thing. Basically, you have a very highly muscled torso, and the head is relatively small. Next. So this is like a typical example, right? The torso is extremely muscled, and you have a small head which is shrunken to make the torso look even bigger. So obviously, if you walk on the streets of Hyderabad, you will not find people like this. I mean, hyper muscled or whatever. So we needed to find that Hyderabadi look. Yeah, next. So these are the challenges we had. The other very interesting challenge we had was when you're actually creating, bringing about artists and colorists and inkers and so on. We could not, due to various economic reasons, we had to outsource ourselves. Basically, as you know, there's a lot of back-end work done in India. And we were hoping to try to tap into that. But unfortunately, in terms of cost and pricing, we cannot really compete with the very large, American companies. So we in turn had to outsource our work to Argentina and to Russia and so on. So that obviously, so you're going to have Hyderabad drawn, some of it, most of it is drawn by Harsho, but some of it has been drawn by Argentinian and Russian artists. So who have never obviously been to India or Hyderabad. So that gave rise to all kinds of interesting challenges as far as script was concerned. So I'll explain that a bit later. Next. So I was talking about the Hyderabadi type. So if you've seen especially South Indian films, right? If you look at the villain, you know who the villain is. You know that they have a very distinct look. The hero has a very distinct look. Even if you don't understand any language, especially Indian movies, when you just look at them physically, you know who is the hero, who is the hero, the hero's sister, who is the heroine, who is the item girl, whatever. It's very easy. It's visually, it's extremely easy. So we were trying to see, can we do something like that? So we were trying to find a kind of a distinct Hyderabadi look, that Hyderabadi face, especially when you go to the old city. You look at them and you know, okay, this guy is from Hyderabad. And they have all their, this is in Cafe Farasha near Charminar. Next. So, okay, it's not displaying very well, but these are the pages from the comic. And again, all the faces there are actually taken from photography initiative that we did. For example, on the left-hand side, you have this Atta seller. He actually sits outside Mecca Masjid. And if you go there, you'll probably see him or someone like him very easily. Let me just hand over it to Harsho, because Harsho had a very difficult job, and he's not from Hyderabad, he's from Calcutta. So we had to give him photographs, descriptions, and so on. And Harsho had to kind of come up with this unified visual look.
Thanks, Jaideep. If you go back to the last frame, the previous one, please. Can we go to the previous frame, please? The previous one, please. Yes. As Jaideep was mentioning out here, we had to think about the different characters we would find in Hyderabad. As you can see, the guy on the left-hand side would be the Athar seller you were saying, you'll find in the streets of Hyderabad, in the city of old, as well as in the city of the current city nowadays. You'll find people like this, dressed like these, with the old quaint items you'll find. But the main character we were dealing with was the character you see on the right-hand side in the first panel. The character's name was Ashfaq, and the whole story was based around him, loosely around him. This Ashfaq is a character who had a specific past and a specific present. Jaideep, please tell them about Ashfaq, the character we created.
Yeah, so as I was talking about the scripting challenges, and one of the issues is you're going to show like 400 years of the city's history. How do you kind of have an iconic character to pull everything together? So the idea we came up with is that of the time traveling auto, and obviously the time traveling auto wala. So that was the main thread which tied everything together. So you have this auto which goes in different eras, and you have the auto wala, and each story is about one of the passengers in the auto. So that's how we stuck it together. So that was the easy one, but obviously the auto wala cannot be the main protagonist of the story. He can be the sort of the vehicle, the sutradhar. So we needed a character like Ashfaq. So he is basically a poet, which I think is appropriate because in a city of, Hyderabad is a poet's dream, or it's a poetry in stone, or whatever you call it. So you need to have a poet in search of another poet, a mythical poet, through the past. So we needed to come up with a very simple as well as distinctive look to him. So you can see through the artwork that that's how we attempted, because you can't give him like a costume, but at the same time it has to be a very distinctive garb. Yeah, next. So this one, I'm sure all of you are aware of the fish medicine by the Goud family in Hyderabad. I mean, especially those who are from Hyderabad. So as you know, the legend goes that some 100 or 150 years ago, they meet a stranger who tells them, this is what you have to do. Obviously, because Ashfaq is a time-traveling character, he has taken the time-traveling auto to the past, he can sort of intervene in various parts of the city's history and make these small changes which end up what we see now. So this, you actually have Ashfaq here meeting apparently somebody who says that you make this medicine for asthma and a bear eats it and then you have to eat the bear. So, and then Ashfaq says it's better if you put in a fish because that's much more easier to eat than a bear, and so on. Yeah, next. So now this is, as you know, in the past in Hyderabad, you could go to a chai shop, I mean a chai khana, Irani cafe or whatever, and pay with a poem. If you recited a poem, then, and assuming the poem was good, you could get free tea. And there used to be something called poets' tables. So there, the poets would sit there. They would get free tea the entire day, as long as every now and then they kind of recited poems. So it was a very, poem being the unit of currency shows you what kind of a city Hyderabad was. What kind of a, I mean, it was a city not based on commerce and money, but on dreams really. So we needed to recreate that. Actually, because obviously there's very little photographic evidence of the past, we kind of cheated a little bit. We created, some of the shots are from, I think, Senor Senior Cafe in Asif Nagar, but the costumes of the characters are from India Coffee House, so we kind of did a little bit of mix and match. Maybe Harsho can kind of give a little explanation of how that architecture was done. We'll go into it in detail.
The whole artwork was done through the help of photographic references we had, but a lot of imagination had also had to come into play. We had to imagine what Hyderabad would really look like in 200, 300 years from now, right? Even earlier back, about 500 years back, we would think, what would Hyderabad look like right now? And more importantly, we had sessions, small parts of the book itself deals with the current time of Hyderabad, where I'm a Kolkata-based artist. And I had to wonder, what would our hero, if we can call him hero at all, he's a protagonist. You saw him earlier, Ashfaq, you can see him here also. Over there, he's looking at himself, looking up in the stage and wondering, what can I do with this, what can I do with that? To figure out what exactly he's doing, you have to see the book. You can go to stall number B2 and check out the book for yourself. But in the comic process, we had lots of thoughts going on in our head. How would the story progress from one story to the other? We had 4 interconnected stories in the whole book itself, and each story, we were doing the whole thing in a sequential comic basis, where the story moved on from one page to the other, and within one page we had to move on from one panel to the other. Can we go on to the next page, please? As you can see, the story moved from one panel to the other, where some information is divulged in the first panel, and it goes on and so on. Yes. Jaideep, I think, can go ahead with explaining this page.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, can you just go back? Yeah. So I think, I mean, the personal favorite of mine, this basically, we needed to, at the same time when we talk about a city, we can't just say the city was founded 400 years ago, so-and-so king founded it. What does that mean? It means nothing. There has to be something else. There has to be a creation myth. Because everybody, we all have myths of how we came into this world, how, you know, the human race evolved or whatever, or each particular culture. Whether the culture was hatched out of a giant egg or came from a golden womb. We all have creation myths of the world. But now today, most of us live in cities. So cities also deserve creation myths. So that's what we were trying to do. So it was not just a question of looking at Hyderabad's past, but of all cities. Every city is a story. And we want to tell Hyderabad in this bigger picture. Yeah, next. Yeah, next. Yeah, so one of the things if cities need creation myths, the creators, I suppose, would be architects. So we needed to kind of create a pantheon of architects who are some kind of a magical, like architects are like sorcerers or magicians. They kind of will cities into existence. Okay. Yeah, so we actually, you can't make out the line, but it says that architects are the greatest sorcerers because they create illusions from which even the imagination cannot escape. So yeah. Anyway, so this is about Corbusier. I mean, in this panel we are talking about Corbusier. So when this whole project came together, actually we didn't want to go back into this as well. But then we realized that when you start talking about the history of a city, you have to go into sort of the meta history, and that's how this came about. So basically, every city is a kind of a language. When you set foot in, say, Bombay, everybody is scurrying around, everybody seems to know what to do. You know, you feel a little out of place. That's because they know the language. The city itself is a language and you're not yet fluent in it. But then you spend some time, you come to a new city, you spend a year, a couple of years, and slowly you start understanding the flow, the particular flow in that city. And that's how the city, you learn the language. So we decided that this project is essentially, you could say, a translation. It's a translation of this language which we call a city. Yeah. So I mean here, this is one example. Actually the artwork is not being displayed very well, but anyway, basically we are talking about the Minar and how this came about. Like, you know, it starts from a Persian origin and so on. And so when you look at a Minar, it's like a throat. It's a throat of prayer thing, man. It's also a line which is connecting heaven and earth and so on. So when you look at that, you kind of immediately understand what the language is. Yeah. So one of the things of modern cities, this is a very good example where we are right now, is the thing is, obviously when you look at the old city, you can read it in this terms, the Minar, the dome and so on. But when you come to the new city, you may find some difficulties. Yeah, go on. Yeah. So basically here, it's like a fractal. The smallest unit is also resembles it at the largest. All the buildings, especially in the new city, have glass on the exterior, so they reflect each other. But because every building has a glass exterior, they all reflect each other. So it's like a hologram. It's like a hall of mirrors the size of a city. So you can't, reading the city here becomes difficult. Here, on the other hand, you have the dome and you have a cube. This is a very basic architectural unit, right? And there is no space, internally there is no space between the cube and the dome. Dome is God, cube, straight lines is man. And a place like this is where man and God meet. So when you go to a mosque or any other place of worship, the architecture itself is telling you a story. You understand, when you enter that place, subconsciously you're understanding where you're at. Yeah, next. So, I mean, we don't have time, so I cannot go into the origins of Hyderabad itself. As you know, it's modeled after a Persian city, Esfahan. It was called Navi-e Esfahan, New Esfahan, and so on. Yeah, go on. Yeah, next. Next. So yeah, I'm afraid we have to kind of zip through it. Okay. So a little bit, maybe I have a very little. We also realize that Hyderabad in a way is a dead city, or rather every city is a dead city, and it's constantly dying, it's constantly being born at the same time. So you need to look at these border zones between life and death, between where the city is dying and where the city is growing. And one of the places we really found that was in the Mir Momin Ka Daira in the old city. Yeah. So we needed to create a look for that, and this is what we found. I mean, amazing colors by Neeraj Menon, who worked on this. He gave it a kind of very reddish sort of a tint, which kind of a sort of a sunset, a kind of a twilight, a kind of an ending of an era. At the same time, the excavators are this bright yellow, so they're kind of a menace. They're sort of a menace, and they're always in every frame. In the background, you can see an excavator or crane. So they're like constantly on the move. These bulldozers, these cranes, these poke lanes, they're always eating up the city alive. So they're there in the background. So we need to create that visual look, basically. So, I mean, okay, basically Hyderabad is modeled after Charbagh, which is a sort of a garden. Basically, the original model of the city was a garden by water bodies. I mean, this is like in a miniature, you would see it something like this. So when you see this is shorthand for heaven. Yeah, and I mean, these are more greater details. Basically, what we call Mughal gardens, especially, are basically this model. This is what has been replicated. So yeah, so I think I spoke very briefly about the time-traveling auto. Maybe Harsho can kind of explain how, after I give him the script, he obviously has lots and lots of questions and so on. And maybe he can give a little bit about how the process, both of us working together, goes.
Can I ask you to go back a couple of panels? There were some pictures. Some more panels, please. Some more. One more panel. That's it. The process is very simple. After I get a script from Jaideep, what I do is I try and figure out some reference pictures for myself to draw from after the character is created. Look at this picture, for instance. And if we can go to the next panel. Can we go to the next panel? Let's look at these two photographs. These two photographs were utilized in artwork style inside the comic itself. they form two panels of one page. The look and feel of the page has to be created. I need to figure out from the script what is required in each panel of each page, and accordingly, if Jaideep has reference pictures for me to work from, I use them, or else I find my own reference pictures, or else I do the other easy thing. I ask my wife to photograph me in different angles. For example, bending down, or sitting down and having a cup of tea, or getting my throat slashed. It's very easy. So, and after the work is done, you've seen the artwork. Can you go to the next page, please? Yes. After the script is done, the reference pictures are found. I imagine, what the artwork should be like. We all like cricket in India, so cricket shouldn't be a problem for artists of any generation. So you have children playing cricket out here, so the artwork is done. Then I follow the script, and if any dialogues are given to me, the dialogues are put in the comics itself, and as a result, the comic can be passed on to the colorist, who then puts in his trademark colors, which look very beautiful out here. The lettering is put in, and the page is completed. Ready? Continue.
Yeah. Next. Next. Yeah. So yeah, he's kind of briefly given the overview. I don't think I have to add anything to it. We do have some peculiar problems. Like, I don't know if you've seen, we have a issue in which we have a dinosaur. So when the dinosaur was being colored, the final color it ended up with, I was a bit unhappy, so I asked the colorist, can you change it? Then he said, do you know how a dinosaur looks like? I said, no. He said, nobody's seen a dinosaur. We find the bones, so we know how it looks like, but as in the physiognomy, but we don't have how it looks like. So this is the color I've chosen. So then you have to kind of just go with the flow. You can't really intervene there. Basically, it's all about giving a kind of space. Like, you cannot ensure that everything in your script is going to be created by the artist. You have to give him space because he knows what he's doing as well, and there's a sort of a mutual trade-off basically. So here you go. So this is a time-traveling auto. So the story begins 65 million years ago in Panjagutta, where one passenger desperately needs a pickup, and he has an auto. But as you know, autos, if they feel that their bargaining power is with them, they tend to drive a hard bargain. And if you're stuck 65 million years ago with a dinosaur chasing you, you have to pretty much give whatever the auto guy wants. So and so on. Yeah. Next. So I mean, these are the technical details. Again, as I said, most of you are like comic book fans. I'm sure I don't have to explain to you how it goes. The only thing is, if you're a writer who just started in comics, there's a tendency to fill up the page with balloons because you're like a little insecure, and that obscures the artwork. So you have to, when you start off, you have to be kind of careful not to overshadow the art, because art ultimately is what is driving the story forward. So yeah, so this is a little breakup. So this is the rough sketches. So basically what happens is, I kind of write the story, I send it to him, he asks for photographic references, I send it to him, or he finds them himself, and then he does Harsho does like a sort of a thumbnails, a kind of a sequential order of how the story is flowing, whether from page to page the panel transition is working, and once we lock on that, we continue. So this is one of the stories also. Just go on. Next. So yeah, it's based on a famous Argentine author who actually was very interested in Hyderabad. He wrote a lot of very interesting stories about Hyderabad despite being blind and despite never being anywhere in India. So that was very interesting, I thought. Go on. Yeah, go on. So this is Fariduddin Attar, and he wrote a very famous epic poem called The Conference of Birds in the 12th century. So we were very much influenced by this sort of Persian poetry from this era, and that's what really made the story work. So yeah, go. So for example, we needed, so I'll give you a typical example. I take this photograph, I send it to Harsho, next, and that becomes this. So this is the uncolored version. So you can see the line work very clearly. And obviously he does play around with perspective and so on, and I'll explain to you how that happens. Go on. So in this particular shot, we wanted a reflection of the rear view, in the rear view mirror, the passenger. That was a little bit tricky, so he said, can you get someone to do it? Go on. So that's actually the co-writer, Jasraman. So we had to kind of find a friendly auto guy and tell him, look, we want to do a photo shoot in your auto for half an hour. Please lend it to us. So now the auto guys, especially in Barkatpura, have become used to us. We come there and they know these guys want to take photographs of the auto. So they're kind of, earlier they're very suspicious. Now they're like okay with it. So yeah, next. In this particular panel, Ashfaq travels back in time and he's getting harassed by these peddlers and hawkers. So in this shot, there are lots of things like this kurta and all that, and Harsho just wanted to double check and have a reference photograph, just in case. He doesn't really need them, but it's more like a precaution. So in our NGO, which funds it, the interns in the NGO often end up in these productions, because those are the people we can order around. Yeah, next. Yeah. So these are the interns who were told to come out to the roof and do all these things. They had absolutely no idea what the hell we were up to. But then anyway, there you go. That's how interns are. Yeah, go on. These mad scribblings that you see are actually my artwork. So it starts off with these mad scribblings. So after I write the script, I send it to him. I'm sure none of you can make any sense of it. So I think Harsho deserves a lot of credit for actually converting this into this. So, so he looks at the scribblings, he kind of gets an idea of what the hell I'm trying to do. He has to read my mind to a certain extent and then he produces it. Now, well, you can't make out in these scribblings, but I can point out a very interesting thing. I was talking about how it's a trade-off and how both of us contribute and create something extra. In this particular sequence, there are about 5 panels. So you have the very typical, like the establishing shot, then a close-up of basically a butterfly is getting squashed by somebody. And then you kind of zoom out and you look who is squashing it, and it's a hunter. That's the idea. Next. Now, if you look what Harsho has done is, he has kind of made the hunter, instead of confining him to one panel, he's made him break all the panel boundaries. He's standing tall in the, near the center of the page. And that's really something. I would have never thought of that, but that adds an extra dimension. It kind of draws your eye to this character who is basically the main hero. So he has to be concerned about the the sensibility of that. I can focus on the story, but he knows what the eye of the reader is looking at. Okay, some more mad scribblings, but yeah, go on. Now this is a famous photograph of Raja Deen Dayal. Now I like this photograph, I wanted to use it, but however I was unhappy with the perspective. I want a little top angle shot or whatever. Now the advantages of having a very good artist, so suddenly he changed the perspective. He took the reference image, but he flipped the perspective, he kind of went high. So this is the advantage. So you can give photographs and say, look, I want to go low, I want to go high, and he'll do it. So you need to know what works and what doesn't. In some cases, it's a bit odd, like we all have our own preoccupations. This one is a frame from a very famous movie by Resnais, Alain Resnais, which I really liked. And I thought, what the hell, I want to use it in the comic anyway. So I sent the reference to that next. So that became this. Basically, it's a one shot in which it's like a dream shot, like a dream vision, in which all the characters are seen in one panel, basically. It's kind of rare. So there you go. I think, I hope you like the presentation. Basically, this is one of the key pages in the comic. As I said, we are at stall B2. Please do come over. We have a signing from 2:30 to 3, I think. Harsho will be there. And one very important thing I'd like to end is, basically, as we said, we call this issue 0. So this is just a start. What we really are interested in is we want your anecdotes, your stories, your legends about Hyderabad. You send them to us, we collate them, we pick 4 or 5, and we'll convert them into stories, into graphic sequential stories. So yeah, thank you very much.